What's up, everyone? I am Jamie with 3littlegoats.com. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you've been around for a while, welcome back. I'm glad to see you as always. So today we are not making soap. On my last video, a lot of people said they wanted to see some more homesteading projects since we're finally starting to work on projects. I'd say since it started to warm up, but it started snowing yesterday, so it's definitely not warm, but we are on a timeline. I also mentioned that we tend to order things and then that require us to build stuff in a short amount of time. Like our goats, we had to finish the barn up because I had put a deposit down on some goats. Well, now we have to build a chicken brooder because I may have 20-something chickens coming next week in the mail, so we got to get started on that and then get started on the chicken coop as well. So today we're going to build a pretty simple and easy chicken brooder, and I'm not going to do it myself. I'm going to have my awesome husband come and help me. He's made an appearance on a lot of earlier videos, but never really like in any of my recent videos. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my husband. This is my amazing, handsome husband, Jesse, and he does a lot of the heavy lifting around the homestead, behind the scenes stuff that you guys don't see. So hopefully he'll actually get in front of the camera and do some of them in front of the camera from now on. So,
we'll see. We'll see.
So, without further ado, let's build a chicken brooder. So, since this is pretty much a last-minute project that we didn't really plan on doing, so I didn't really have a budget for it and I didn't want to spend any money on it, we're going to be using a lot of the scrap wood that we still have left over from the partial part of our barn build. We had some OSB laying around left over from when we finished out the garage and our little home gym in our garage, so we're just going to be using that. It's not the perfect materials to use. I definitely would not recommend using OSB when it comes to anything that's going to have moisture, let alone little birds pooping and peeing all over it. But it is what it is. It's going to be temporary. They're only going to be in it for a few weeks, so we're just going to adapt and overcome and use what we have. So of course we headed out to the barn first, and as you can tell, if you have baby goats, they're always oh so helpful. So they helped us find some scrap pieces for our corners, so we had something with a little bit more bite to screw in the OSB to, because there was no way we were going to try to screw it into each other in the corners. It's just really thin. I think it's like a 1/4 inch OSB, so we needed some 2x4s just to create those corners and make sure that they were nice and secure. After we put the baby goats away and got the scrap 2x4 pieces that we needed, it was just a matter of ripping down the OSB to the size that we needed. Now, it is no way perfect. We just used the circular saw to rip these down. I do have a table saw, but it still has my dado blade in it that we used to build the pins inside of our barn. And since I'm going to be using that again here shortly, I didn't want to take the dado blade out because it's just a pain in the butt. So we just ripped it down with a circular saw. And all we did was rip 2 pieces in half long ways, so they're about 2 feet high, which is going to be a perfect height for this brooder box. And then we ended up ripping down those pieces, so we had a 4x6 size brooder box. So since we cut down all of our scrap OSB, we just had a bunch of it laying around from when we finished out our garage. We're just using whatever we have on hand, which includes some scrap 2x4s left over from the barn, the scrap OSB, and we're just gonna put it together. And I think we have some chicken wire, so we're gonna put a top on it. That way when they get a little bit older, they're not perching on top of it or just running amok in the garage. So it's time to start putting everything together.
Yeah, this isn't a permanent thing, so once these chicks have grown up, it's coming down.
Yeah. So let's go.
Alright, great.
Now, just to assemble the box, it was pretty straightforward. We just used some wood screws and we screwed in the 2x4 scraps that we had into each corner just to make sure everything was nice and square and nice and secure. This box isn't wobbly or anything. It's not going to tip over. The chickens aren't going to knock it over, and there's nothing really that can get into our garage that's going to push it over. It's pretty sturdy for what it is, and it will work for a few weeks while we grow out some of our laying hens. Now we went back and forth on how exactly we wanted to attach the chicken wire. We knew we wanted it to be on there to prevent the chickens from eventually hopping out of the brooder box once they start getting their adult feathers in. But I also wanted to make it so it was easy to get in there to feed them and water them and especially clean up after them every single day. So we had planned on using this piece of 2x4 that you see, and we were just going to staple it across, but our staples they weren't holding anything in. So we opted just to use some smaller pieces of scrap. I think they were 1x4. They're actually for privacy fencing. We just had a bunch of scraps of those, so we just sandwiched those with some wood screws to hold that side of the chicken wire nice and tight. I'm not worried about anything getting in there. Like I said, it's in the garage. It's just more of making sure they don't easily get out. Alright, so this is what we've got finished for the day. It's getting cold again. It looks like it might possibly rain again. We ended up putting this on another piece of scrap OSB. OSB is not ideal for anything that holds or is going to be wet, and of course birds are going to splash around their water, they're going to poop everywhere. So we do plan on putting a tarp down on top of the OSB. It's just a little bit of a barrier so they're not on the cold cement. It's not ideal, but it works for our situation, and it's only going to be temporary. So we're going to slap a tarp down on the bottom when the birds get here, put their bedding in and all of their food and stuff, and they will be warm and cozy in here. And then to make it easy to clean, we just put the chicken wire on top, just stapled it to the end there, and then just sandwiched it between some scrap wood. That way when we go to clean, we can just lift this up and clean it all out. And then these doors open. This is actually the garage door in here. They'll open up, so when we clean, we can just open that up and scoop everything out and dump the tarp onto our gorilla cart, which will make for super easy cleanup. And when we start transitioning them to outside, we can just literally open up these doors for an hour at a time to get them started to transition when it's time for them to go out to the big coop. So that is what we've got for you guys today. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helps. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're going to start putting out videos every week again, hopefully here in the near future, one project at a time. We do have a bunch of projects lined up that we'll be posting about, to include building out our carport into a chicken coop, as well as doing some feed storage containers that I am hoping will work out. In my brain, they work out. Haven't tested it out yet, but we'll be posting about that. And then I just ordered a whole bunch of soaping supplies, which will hopefully be here in the next week or so. It's been averaging about 2 to 3 weeks for my orders to actually arrive. So once those arrive, we can start making some soap making videos again and get back to our regularly scheduled soap videos. So until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.